everyone, and welcome back to PSC Photography, the podcast where we talk about photographs, however they've been taken, and with whatever they've been taken with, if that's the right sentence. I'm joined this evening by Charlie, Joe, and Ian. Hello, gents.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. It's lovely to have you with us. And we've decided, because there's too many people away during July to make any sense of anything. So we're gonna just take July off. Sorry if that offends our two listeners, but we'll be back on the 6th of August with show 24. This is show 23, and it's now the middle of June, so it is a bit of a break, but we've just got a kind of number of people missing, and it just doesn't really work out very well. So we've got a summer holiday for the month of July, and we'll see you in August after today's show. We may, though, have a sneaky summer special show in July sometime, because Joe has got a great mate who's in Scandinavia and who is a very good photographer, and he's hoping to rope him in to do a special show with us. Aren't you, Joe?
Yeah, he's up for it. Jermaine is very much up for it. He's in Holland. Netherlands, however you want to call it.
Jermaine Through the Lens or something?
Yeah, Through Jermaine's Lens. Is
Through
his,
Jermaine's Lens,
YouTube
yes.
channel, yeah.
Cool. So hopefully we'll have that going. And we've also got some plans about possibly adding to the format of how this show works, which Ian and Joe particularly are going to kind of tinker with, and Charlie and I are going to try and keep up somehow to see about the possibility of making it more visual and not dependent so much on this idea of the Google Photos shared album thingy, which is not ideal. So watch this space. When we come back in August, we might have some changes afoot, and we'll let you know about that as we go. And we'll let you know if we've got a summer show going. Phoneshowchat.uk is our website, where you'll find all of the stuff you need to know about this, and also PSC, because it's a shared website now, as you might remember. TedSalmon.com is where you'll find me, and links to all the other audio podcasts and all the MeWe groups as well, links to get into all of that. So we're going to go straight into the theme of the show tonight, which is genres for the beginner. And Charlie, you've been working very hard with this.
I have indeed. So photography genres for the beginner. Where do you start? I looked through the data myself, and I also consulted Chris, who isn't here today for today's podcast. And we kind of, we looked through everything, and we found some outliers. We found some genres that work well for beginners, because when you're starting out in something, you haven't got the skills, you haven't got the expertise, you don't really know what path to follow. And it's all about, in photography, at least for me, of course, it's all about repeatability and having a fast feedback loop, because without a feedback loop, there's no way to accelerate your learning. And this applies to any domain in life, not just photography. If you don't have that feedback loop, you're going to give up very quickly. So I've created some graphics, and some people are a little bit confused. You can see here in the photography shared camera album, I've got a matrix, a 3D matrix with 4 variables. Nothing complex. It's quite straightforward, actually. So there are actually 14 photography genres, ranging from flash and portrait to sport, underwater, and astro. The first variable is technical complexity, where you're looking at camera handling for doing portrait work, or technical details for landscaping, doing ND filters, exposures, stuff like that, all the way to creative freedom. So something like street or flash that offers a tremendous amount of creative freedom. But also you have environmental dependence. So if you're doing sport photography, that's all to do with accessibility. You can't take pictures of motor cars unless you have access to Formula One. Then you've got event photography. That's also to do with accessibility if you're working for journalism or whatnot. Then you've got a cluster of different genres for the beginner, ranging from architecture, macro, fashion, and portrait. Now they're kind of like clustered together. The data tells us that that's less driven by environment because obviously you're working in the studio, and more kind of tied into equipment dependence, lighting, diffusers, stuff like that. And they offer relatively high amounts of creative freedom. And then you've got the outliers, okay? You've got street, you've got landscape, you've got astro, and you've also got an interesting one here, product photography. So if we start by looking at product photography, we can see that for the beginner, there's no environmental dependence, okay? You can basically do it in your bedroom. It's also got very high creative freedom. You can basically do what you want. We actually scored it an 8 out of 10. And then you've got equipment dependence. Now, this is very high. We scored this 8 out of 10 as well. So with product photography, yes, you can just do it with your mobile phone, I guess, but it's going to require a lot of work on your end. I mean, you're really going to have a studio with, what's it called, a softbox and all the lighting, all that kind of stuff. Don't really know too much about product photography myself. And you've also got the technical complexity, which is actually relatively low, we decided, with product photography. Now, if you look at street, something like street photography, that's one of the outliers that beginners should do as a genre. In terms of technical complexity, it's quite high. Obviously, you just need a camera, but you need to anticipate events. You need to observe. You have to have fast reaction times. And most importantly, and this was for me, my case, composition. I really had to master and learn composition. So for technical complexity, we scored that 60 out of 100 for street. Then you've got equipment dependence. Street, very low. We scored it 10 out of 100. And then finally, environmental dependence is very high. You know, if you're shooting street in Hong Kong or Bangladesh or Tokyo, you know, you're going to get some really interesting shots. But if you're shooting in Hastings or Slough, you might as well call it a day. You know, environment is everything when it comes to something like street. Also, we've got landscape. Now, I disagree here. Maybe I've input the wrong metrics, but this is Chris's data for landscape, and it scored very low indeed for equipment dependence. It's scored 20 out of 100. I would argue you need a tripod. I would argue you need ND filters. Obviously, you could do it without those two things, but I think it would be difficult. But it scored quite low on equipment dependence and moderate on technical complexity. We gave it 4 out of 10. And then finally, for environmental dependence, obviously, it scores like a 90. And for creative freedom, very high, 80 out of 100 for landscape. So that's another outlier. If you're more introvert, you go landscape. If you're more extrovert, you go street, which is ironic because I would say I'm more introvert, and yet I started photography in street. So it was definitely a learning curve. It was difficult, but it really opened up the world of photography for me to branch out into different things like flash and infrared and landscape. So I think street's a good starting point. Then you've also got architecture. So architecture requires careful consideration with your composition, perspective control, and attention to geometry. So there is technical complexity there with architecture. You've also got equipment dependence. You know, you need wide lenses, you need tripods, you need some specialist lenses as well, especially if you want to experiment. And then finally, you've got environmental dependence, which we scored quite low. We only scored it 30 out of 100 for architecture because buildings, you know, they're static and they're accessible if you're on the street. Creative freedom, very high. You know, we scored it 80 out of 100 for architecture. because, if you're shooting in weather with clouds, you can do a long exposure and you can get those nice kind of motion blur effects when doing it. So, architecture is another good one. We've also got infrared photography, which is one that I'm trying to get into more. It's quite difficult, I would say, in terms of equipment dependence. We scored it 100% because you have to get your camera and you have to get it modified. I've got a full spectrum A7R Mark I camera. So I think it's £300 or £400 to have it done in the UK. I did it abroad, so it was much cheaper. And with infrared, the shooting process itself is relatively straightforward once the system is understood, once you understand color science and the different light wavelengths. Then you've got the equipment dependence. It requires converted cameras, as I've mentioned, filters, and in some cases, specialist equipment. And then environmental dependence. Now, I would disagree with Chris here. He scored it quite low at 20. I would say it's probably more like 70 or 80 out of 100 for infrared photography, primarily because you have to be in an environment where there's a lot of green. If there's no green, I don't really think the images are going to come out correctly, or they're not going to come out in a way that you can appreciate creatively. So I think for that reason, infrared photography isn't for beginners, but it's definitely a rewarding thing to do. There are many other things I've also mentioned here, such as sport. Sport is, I think, very difficult to do. We actually scored it 100 out of, we scored it, what did we score it? 20. We scored it 20 out of 100. So Chris said it was easy to do. I said it was hard to do. So there's some disagreement there. His argument was that, once it's set up and understood, the technical process is relatively repetitive. Then we've got the equipment dependence. So that's 90 out of 100 for sports. Very difficult. You need some expensive gear. You need fast cameras. You need expensive telephoto lenses, which are often essential. And then finally, you've got the environmental factor. As I mentioned previously, it's all about access. It's all about event schedules. It's all about venue, position, and subject behavior. That's what dominates outcomes when it comes to sports photography. And then you've got creative freedom, which is very limited. You're usually working for a client when you're doing sports photography. You've got limited ability to influence the scene or the subjects. And maybe Ian can chip in here because he does motorsport photography. Maybe he can give us some insights to how the process works. Ian, do you think sports photography is a good genre for beginners, or is it really dominated by access, and is it difficult to do?
Good questions, all of them. Is it easy to do? I don't think so. I probably, depending on what you want to shoot, but environmental dependency, you can shoot your local kids football team and things like that. You can go to a racetrack, and most racetracks, even if you are over the fence, you can shoot and you can learn. And I think on that perspective, I think it's relatively easy entry for sports photography, for football or things like that, or for motorsport. I'd probably agree with you on the equipment. You would need fast lenses and things like that, and probably a long lens. But I think we all started somewhere, and I think some of my best photos, or the most liked photos, are still the ones I took when I first got my kit. So I probably not from that perspective, and I'm probably not lining this, but I also think there is a huge opportunity for artistic flair, because there is a lot of stock photography that you would do if you're doing stuff for an agency. You need a picture of each car going around a corner or something like that. But there is scope to really try and create something different either by the environment or something like that. So I think I would sort of push back a little bit that there is opportunity to get into it quite easily, and to get results. But probably the equipment is probably going to be the first thing on there, if that's useful.
Yeah. I think I'd agree with that. The most interesting conclusion we got from the Matrix is that for beginners, they're usually asking the wrong questions. Most beginners, they ask, what is the best genre? But the data suggests otherwise. The data suggests that a better question is, what genre gives me the highest creative freedom for the lowest overall dependency burden? In other words, and we discussed this on the previous podcast, it's all about friction. We want to do something that gives us the most bang for our buck. We want to do something that gives us the most reward with the least amount of effort. If you look at the Matrix, you've basically got four competing forces. You can see we've got technical complexity, we've got equipment dependence, we've got environmental factors, and we've got creative freedom. So the ideal beginner genre would offer high creative freedom, low equipment requirements, manageable technical demands, and enough environmental dependence to create learning opportunities without becoming frustrated. So again, it's going back to that notion of friction and removing it and creating positive feedback loops, so you can get that dopamine hit when you're taking a photo. And that's really what got me into photography when I did street. So I think when looked at through that lens, street photography does emerge as the strongest beginner genre within the Matrix. Why? Because it has the highest creative freedom with a score of 90. It has the lowest equipment dependent score of 10, and it has a moderate technical complexity of 60. Many people would say there's no technicals to do with street, but as I mentioned before, you really do need a firm grasp of composition. I think color theory and light dynamics, less so. They don't really matter. It's more about composition. And street photography also, and this is an important one, it teaches you observation, timing, storytelling, light, anticipation, and visual awareness. And that, of course, feeds into all the other genres which you're going to approach in the future once you get into street photography and naturally get bored of it, like I did after doing it for 3 or 4 years. So the skills learned in street photography are really transferable to other genres. By contrast, and sorry to go against you here, Ian, with sports, but sports, it is an expensive genre to get into for a beginner, I think, especially with equipment. Then you've even got, and this is a really interesting one, underwater photography. Now, obviously, a beginner's never going to do underwater photography, but I think it's interesting that we look at it just to look at kind of the anti-genre, if you were, for photography. In other words, a genre not to get into when you're starting out as a beginner into photography. So with underwater photography, we actually found it had a technical complexity of 80 out of 100. It demands high proficiency in photography, high mastery in photography, especially in underwater operations. Equipment dependence is 100 out of 100, isn't it? Underwater photography, it requires specialist housing, lighting, and also safety equipment. Environmental factors and dependence, you've got water clarity, that's a big one. You've also got refraction and other dynamics to do with lighting underwater as they affect other objects. You've got weather, you've got currents, you've got marine life. This all influences the results and outcomes of your photos. And then finally, you've got creative freedom with underwater photography. Very strong. We scored it 60 out of 100. It has strong creative potential, but it's ultimately constrained by the environment. So obviously, underwater photography and to a lesser extent, sports photography might not be ideal for beginners to really get into. Then you've got astro. Astro is a fascinating one. It's highly technical and completely dependent on conditions. But if you're more of an introvert and you don't really want to go out and mix with other people while you're taking photos, because it can be stressful, street photography, let's face it, product and portrait photography is a fantastic one, because the user, the photographer, controls the environment. It does require additional equipment, but I do think something like product photography is great if you're an introvert. Probably not portrait, because you have to give directions. You're basically a creative director, aren't you, while you're shooting your subject. But with a static object for product photography or food photography, which I didn't include here, but those are good things for people that are introvert. And then finally, we've got drone photography and also infrared photography, which I touched on earlier. It requires specialist hardware before you even begin. Drone photography is actually very straightforward. It's more to do with environmental factors. If you're in a drone-friendly country like Iceland or Switzerland, it's a fantastic pursuit. But if you're in the UK or China, maybe not so much. With street photography, you have a far lower barrier to entry as a beginner, and it allows you to really develop. And I think the key word here is hone. It really allows you to hone your skill set in photography and expand as you get more into the art and science of it. The second major insight from the matrix is that the genres with the highest barriers to entry are not necessarily the most rewarding creatively. So what do I mean by that? Well, going back to underwater, astro, and sports, they all scored extremely high in dependencies, but not exceptionally high in creative freedom. In other words, they're very difficult to do, and it doesn't really give you that much wiggle room to be creative. Meanwhile, street, again, it's very low for equipment. We scored it 10 out of 100. Creative freedom, 90 out of 100. 10 out of 100 for equipment, 90 out of 100 for creative freedom. So it's a no-brainer. Anyone who wants to get into street photography, just grab your camera and emigrate to Hong Kong. That's basically what you should do if you want to get into photography, or try and take frequent visits to areas around the world that have high footfall, high traffic. Even London's a good one, but I found London quite a challenging place to do photography. So what's my conclusion in all of this? Well, I think the beginner should really ask, what photography genre should they start with? And the matrix that I put together really says start with street photography. Not because it's easiest, I would say it's one of the hardest, but more because it allows you to have creative return for the smallest investment in equipment, while also teaching you the broadest range of transferable skills that you can apply to other photography subjects. So I think I've done enough talking now, and I'll let you guys carry on. Yeah.
Presumably this is all based around cameras rather than phones. One of the things I was thinking about while you were talking was that Astro on phones, they are actually building in easy functionality in many phones now to let people do that kind of thing. So there is that. And the other thing that I was thinking about was sports photography. Now, back in the day, I used to like taking cricket photographs, and they used to say that you needed or Ian will know this more than me, but they used to say you needed a 600mm lens in order to get a cricketer in the frame from the boundary. And that there are ways around that. So the equipment dependence or the cost of setting up may not be as great as you think, because you've got things like mirror lenses, which can be, or they used to be, very cheap, and that's what we kind of used when we were dabbling with these things. And the last thing I'll say before I move on to the other people here is that a lot of this depends on what you're interested in as well. So if you've got absolutely zero interest in sports, then it's not going to be a good place to start for you. Whereas, Joe's been doing some product photography lately, and he's been learning those skills. He's got an interest in that, and so that might be shuffled further, more highly up his, high up his preference list for getting started with something. So there is the whole kind of preference thing as well. But those are the things that were running through in my head. But I do take what you say about street and the payoff of being able to just get out there and do it and learn stuff as you go from it, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one, especially with product photography. It looks really well suited for beginners. The only thing that puts me off recommending it is really equipment dependent. Maybe Joe can give us his views on it. Joe, what do you think? Do you think product photography, does that require a lot of equipment, or do you just need a light box and a mobile phone? Could you get away with doing high quality images that way? And is it rewarding to do?
I mean, I've not done too much. A lot of mine is more video work, and what I do is rubbish. So I think, yeah, you do need a bit more equipment.
That's a bit harsh.
Because, I mean, my
Yes,
lighting is
hang
poor.
on. Are you saying that you're rubbish because you lack the equipment?
No, a mixture of my skill set and equipment would help as well. I mean, getting the right lighting is a key thing for
Yeah.
products, most certainly. And to be honest, I don't set up a good environment for it either. I just do it on my desk here, no matter what the lighting is. So, yeah, it's definitely equipment would help, but yeah, my skill set's not great. I mean, it's only my interest for my YouTube channel really. Otherwise, the stuff that I'm into photography wise would be street. I'm too scared to do it.
But
Half
would
the
you
time.
say, because this is an interesting one, you say equipment is the hurdle for you when it comes to taking good images with product photography, and we agree that lighting is, crucial in that regard. But what about photo manipulation using something like Photoshop, or even nowadays with AI? Wouldn't you be able to mitigate your hurdles in taking good photos in product photography by just using Photoshop and AI to rework those images and make them better than they actually are? And then you wouldn't need the
That's
equipment.
a very good question, and it ties in a little bit with technical complexity, because technical complexity could be not just taking the image, but how good you are at editing an image and using them tools like AI and Lightroom. I only really have Lightroom mobile, and I'm not bad at editing, but I'm not that skilled. And to be honest, as much as that it can be manipulated, there's nothing quite like having the right lighting as when you take the shot. It's definitely key for me. Do you know what is interesting on Instagram? I've seen someone do a video about photography, just a quick one. It's really, really quick. And they take an image with no lighting, just the like a cup there, or so I can't remember what it was, a cup or something, cup of whiskey, I think it was. And then they add one piece of lighting, take a picture. Then he adds a little bit more in the background, and then they add some smoke, and like it all just comes together. But when you see the final image compared to the very first one, with all the elements added, it does make a huge difference. Yeah, it's quite an interesting little video it was. But in saying that, in photography, in most of these genres, lighting is key, isn't it? Photography is light. So
yeah, I think in all of them, maybe underwater, I think you need light pretty much. And if you're not shooting flash, then you need good weather conditions. So
Astro's a funny one. Astro, you need less light. You need no light pollution.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, it's the light element is key. I do like this chart. It's really, really good. But I like what Ted said, because that was my thought process. People should not worry too much about the technical complexity of it and do what they enjoy, because then they're going to have more motivation to learn.
Yeah, it's going into that feedback again, isn't it?
Yeah. Because if you're not into into doing portrait shots, well, say something more, say product shots, if that does not interest you in one bit, what's the point?
Yeah, but do you think you can kind of like fake your own happiness? So you might not like portrait photography, but if you do it and you take great photos, then you're going to like it eventually. Or do you just think that's kind of like a faulty argument? I mean, maybe like someone getting into street or landscape because they think they love it and they'll get the results they want really fast, but really they might get the results even faster just sitting in a basement with like a £2,000 camera taking pictures of products. Like maybe that's the answer, instead of wasting loads of time driving around, going abroad, doing street photos, because it takes up a lot of time. It really does. Whereas you can kind of like cheat the process and compound it like in a matter of weeks, just taking photo after photo in a room with some lighting. It'd be a lot simpler.
I guess that's the question the photographer has to ask themselves, isn't it? How much do I want to put into my photography? Is it going to be just a hobby, or is it something I would like to earn some money with one day? What level do I want to get to? All these type of questions need to ask yourself them questions. How much are you willing to spend? Because if you look at your chart, this could be quite handy in that sense. That okay, if I want to do sports photography, I might need to invest. Am I willing to invest? Maybe sports photography is not for me. So that's where your chart does come in quite well, with the equipment part there. And then with the environmental part, am I willing to travel to places? Or do I just want to stay in my own hometown? Although you could argue that you could get decent stuff in your hometown, it's just limited.
Yeah, I mean, the argument is, like, I just bought, for example, the Sony f2.8 GM2 70-200. Instead of buying that, I could have saved my money and gone on holiday and then had more photo opportunities. But I chose to defer that and actually just buy the lens because I know I'm going to get banging shots with that lens. But that's kind of like, I think for the beginner, they should spend all their money on travel and just have like the shittest lens, or even their mobile phone. Don't have a camera, just use your phone. And then when you get to a certain level, then you can upgrade and get a real camera. Interestingly, looking at the chart, I've just noticed I didn't speak about macro. Macro is another interesting one because it doesn't need, well, it needs some equipment, but you could get by just for the macro lens. Macro technical complexity, we gave it an 80 out of 100, demands precision, focus, depth of field control, and sometimes it requires specialized techniques like diffusion filters and stuff like that. But it's not really that much tied to the environmental dependence. So I think macro photography might be a good one. And it offers quite a lot of creative freedom as well, moderate creative flexibility, although the photographer is constrained by subject matter. But macro could be good for some beginners as well, I think, especially if they want something creative, which, let's face it, if we're doing photography, we're doing it because we want to, scratch that creative itch,
The problem with that is, like you say, you need a decent lens for that.
Yes.
That's where it's got a high equipment dependence.
And that will put a lot
genre
off. Yeah.
I've bought a 100mm macro lens. I know Ted's a big fan of macro. And Ed, who comes on here, is a big macro fan. It's a really lovely genre, but again, it depends what type of macro you want to take. A lot of people do love taking flower macro shots, don't they? But yeah, you can do textures and all sorts, can't you?
Well, you could start off with macro with, and I go back to phones again with, the average kind of Motorola phone now using the wide angle lens is doing really, really good close up photography. And that's going to make it accessible to people that don't need the equipment dependence, which is why I think I go back to the fact that you, Charlie, and Chris have done this chart based on assuming, I think, that people are going to have a camera or they're going to have lenses, and it's not about phone, it's about cameras. That's the impression I get. Whereas if you cut through that, like I said about Astro earlier, you could do this with a phone, or at least start off. This is all about starting off. You could try it out with a phone and see how you get on. You can pay £1,400 for an Xperia phone that will do close-ups really, really well, but you can also pay 250 quid for a Motorola phone that will get you the feel and get you into it and give you an idea of whether that's something you want to do or not.
I would actually disagree with you, Ted. I don't think it's so much about equipment dependence. So, for example, you cite mobile phones. Yes, in theory, you can go out with a mobile phone. You can take, everything. You can do night, you can do street, you can do architecture, etc., portraits, whatever. But I think it's more about path dependence. You actually want creative restraint. If you're able to do anything and everything by taking photos with a mobile phone, then you're going to take photos of nothing. And that's why everyone in the world has a mobile phone and they will take terrible photos. My point being, if you have a dedicated camera, you're actually creating a path for yourself to actually go out and say, okay, I'm only going to take pictures of events, of people at work or people at weddings or people at music shows or whatever. Or I'm only going to do macro. Having a camera enables you to do that. Yes, it's restrictive because you have to, sling it around your neck and walk around with it, unlike a mobile phone. But it's having that constraint that forces you to kind of pigeonhole your pursuits, pigeonhole, what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And I don't think you can do that with a mobile phone. If you have a look at the new Oppo X9 Ultra or whatever it's called, I was so tempted to buy it, but it's just a phone. With a camera, you have a viewfinder, you have so many options to change the parameters. There's just more to do for a beginner in that regard and create that path dependency. That's what you need in the beginning. You need some kind of course to structure your photography journey around. And I don't think a mobile phone gives a beginner that.
I disagree 100%. I'm sorry. I think this is trying to be elitist and
you're
with
pro
a camera.
Mobile, Ian.
Sorry?
You're pro mobile. You're all for
mobile.
No,
I'm pro. I mean, ultimately, I don't think people start out photography. Well, I didn't, from my point of view. Don't start out with I must do this. You start out with what you like doing. So I started out doing landscape and fell into motorsport and things like that. But I would very much push back around no one can take a decent photo with a mobile phone. I think for 95% of use cases, a mobile phone is perfectly good and people get joy out of that. They capture moments, and it is about capturing moments. It doesn't matter what camera you take it on. It's what it means to you and what that picture means to you. It doesn't have to be the most artistic or 100% perfect. It is the feeling you get at that moment you capture. I 100% disagree.
But what about the sharpening in the phone that they use on the software?
But who cares? 90% of people don't care. It's the moment, isn't it? It's if you've got a pixel peep, then you're in that small percentage. Yeah.
Where I disagree is actually phone software has changed quite a lot, and there is a pro mode on most phones now. Some let you dial in more than others. But even regardless of that, if you're shooting full auto, right, whether you're shooting full auto with a camera or a phone, you can still put constraints on yourself if you want to. So you can say, I'm going to only take street style shots with the ultra wide on my phone today. You can put constraints in. What I say for beginners is use whatever camera's available to you, whether it's a mobile phone, whether it's your mum's old mirrorless DSLR, which I used, my mum's old Nikon D7000. Use whatever's available to you in your family. Don't spend money yet. Just use what's available and see what you like, see what you enjoy. Just go around and take pictures, and then go from there. Once you've taken a load of pictures, look through them and see which ones you like, which ones take your fancy, and then look more into doing that in future, and then maybe start spending some money. That's my advice anyway. Use whatever camera you've got available.
And then if you want to do underwater photography, you can put your camera inside a Tesco bag and try it out.
Yes.
Tesco
Yeah.
back. How many bars of pressure?
That's a top tip there from Ted.
Ted's top tip.
Make sure it's a clear Tesco bag.
One without any holes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do get where all this is coming from, and I do understand that. But I'm also with the other guys that there are options for people. You don't need to leap in. You don't need to get an underwater housing kit that's going to cost a fortune if you fancy doing underwater. There are other ways around it, and as I said earlier, the Astro thing, well, yeah, you can test yourself out with phones doing that. But I also agree with you, Charlie, in the street thing, because I think you're right that you get a set of skills by doing that. I started off doing candid photography, as I've said on the show before, in and around London. I used to, on my days off, I would just go into London with a camera, a Praktica and a lens, and I would sit in Piccadilly Circus or Trafalgar Square, and I would just pick people off, and I would look at scenes, and I'd learn composure, composition, and I do agree with you that whole street thing does give you a set of tools that are available to all when starting out. But I also get what Ian is saying about go with the flow, and eventually you'll get up to where you want to be, I suppose.
If you want to get there, that is.
Yeah, I've always said that. I mean, I use my mobile phone all the time as a second lens. It's just a tool, as I've said before. Would I go out and use it as a dedicated camera? Well, I tried to in the beginning when I wanted to get into photography, and it just didn't really work for me for some reason. So I had to buy myself a A7C II, and then it worked out for me very well. I got into it quite quickly, but maybe that's me. Maybe for most people, they should start just with their phone. I'm just saying that in my use case, it just didn't pan out very well when I was on holiday, trying to use my phone as a dedicated camera, but with a camera, I had the dials in front of me. I could actually see what was happening as I was manipulating them. I could see the EV and the exposure and what was happening. And with a phone, you do have that, but it's just not the same.
Okay. Yep, and it's a really interesting chart, and clearly a lot of thought has gone into it, and well done for that. And we'll make sure that the chart is in the album so people can see what we're talking about. So well done for that. Really interesting analysis and set of thought processes. So thank you for doing that. And it's given hopefully our listeners some pointers on what to do, what to think about when they're starting out, and what genres that might be easier to pick up than others if they're beginning, what equipment to get and what to test out and where to go with it, and where to start. So thank you, Charlie, and Chris, who you said was involved in doing that. So to the pair of you, well done. Okay, let's...
Ted, just quickly, another top tip for beginners. YouTube is a really good resource. Say you want a particular genre, there'll be someone covering that genre, and they would have done videos on how to start. So that's another top tip. Utilize YouTube.
Sure. Okay. Nice one. Thanks very much. Let's move on to the kind of catch up for the last fortnight, and see what's going where. Chris has dumped some stuff into our album, even though he's not here, and Charlie's going to have a look at that in a minute. But first, Ian, you've been on your travels with a broken foot.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I've had woes, shall we say. I just got back from Monaco, and I put it in there. I don't know what the opposite of anti-aging is, but it was definitely Monaco. I broke my foot 3 weeks before going. was in a plastic boot. Flight got cancelled, diverted to Paris. Then they lost my bag. So I was walking around in a plastic boot with no clothes for 2 days. So I was challenged, so we say, back to the discussion the other show ago. But yeah, it was very good. I think when I take a little bit of time in between races and you go back into it, I start at zero, and you are there with so many talented people that I just continually learn, which I think is really good. So very chaotic. Also, Monaco is very different to shooting other tracks. It's so rammed. It's so busy. It's very difficult to get around, but it is very epic to shoot. So I got most of the shots I wanted to through the sort of 4 days of shooting. And I would say, with a broken foot, I was sort of doing 30,000 steps a day. So I was pretty much in tears in the evening of pain. So it was, yes, going through pain for my sort of passion, really. So
did you get an insight into how the organisers of these kinds of events kind of deal with disabilities and people, that might be permanently without one foot or one leg?
They don't go to Monaco.
Yeah.
and that's it. I think, but yeah, I mean, in that kind of environment, yeah, it's so busy and stuff like that people with any kind of disabilities is very challenging. But yeah, I did thoroughly enjoy it. I also had the benefit of 1 day afterwards in Nice, so I got a day of cycling to the beach and with my mobile phone, so putting my cameras to one side and enjoying taking some shots. For me, it is around, I think a lot of the photography is a byproduct of the travel. The travel is the main thing and puts you into positions where you want to record moments. So I really enjoyed that 1 day, as well as the trip itself. As I posted a few pictures in the group. There was a couple. Well, there's 3 from Monaco, from Nice, that I really enjoyed. I will push back on Charlie again regarding you can't take a good photo with a mobile phone. I really like the one with the 2 palm trees and the 2 people sitting on a bench. I saw these people. I had to run across the road and just wait for maybe 15-20 minutes to try and get a clear shot and try and get it framed correctly. But I really enjoyed the process of taking that shot.
I love that shot. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And I did remove a few people, I must confess. But when I saw these people in the 2 palm trees, I was over the seaside, and I thought I saw the shot, and that was, I think, seeing the shot was the pleasurable thing, and managing to capture it. And to be honest, I don't regret not having my camera or anything like that. So I took a few pictures. I quite enjoyed the guy lying down on the beach. Again, I don't know if I'm doing this thing where I get symmetry and the lines across, but I quite enjoyed the guy lying down. And he wasn't a tramp either. He was very well dressed, that he had like a Gucci bag and stuff like that. So it was quite bizarre and interesting to shoot him from very low level.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's cool.
And one, not a great shot, but there was a little market and there was all these old cameras, which was quite pleasurable to look through,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool.
A black and white image that's really caught my eye, though, that I would like to know a bit more about.
Yeah, so talking around Charlie and restrictions, this was one day I did last year. I went to Orford Ness, which is the old sort of nuclear testing site on the Suffolk coast. And I did a day with my camera, but only taking black and white photos. So switched it to black and white, and everything I took that day was in black and white. which was kind of interesting barrier to put in the way to try and get creative. So I've got a few shots of that, and there's one I'm sort of putting in for a competition. So it's one I've sort of I thought I'd pop in there just to share with you guys, really. So, but yeah, it was quite nice to take that. Again, it's very urban decay, buildings that haven't been used for a long time. They only open it up, I think, like 1 or 2 times a year, and I was quite lucky to go with a guy called Justin Mims, and he did you go there by boat and spend the day there shooting it, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love this image. It's just the nature taking over, coming back to life in a horrible, rundown sort of building. It's loads of points of interest, and the lighting is it's a fab photo.
Cool, thanks.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I again, it was one of these things. I think as sort of Charlie mentioned, such putting in restrictions into your day, and you see things very differently when you're looking through the viewfinder, and everything you see is black and white. So it makes you think differently for the photography. But yeah, so
contrast becomes more important.
yeah. As I say, it was an interesting thing to do, and I like to, even though I do motorsport, I like to try and do other trips if I can to take things differently. But I probably got so much pleasure from just taking my phone out in Nice and taking some sort of candid shots as well. It sort of brings you back to the joy of taking photos or capturing moments. So yeah. And I think that's about it. There's some shots there from Monaco. There was a few that I really wanted to get. There was one where there is a car between 2 buildings. I'd seen that before, and I was hunting for it until the Sunday afternoon, and I did various versions of that. But I quite like that shot. I've got a wider one which has the grandstand in there, but I quite like the idea of the 2 buildings and just a little bit of a car in it. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, very, very good, and managed to shoot Kim Kardashian as well, which was quite cool, and do some graphics and bits and pieces while I was there. So I set up some templates and stuff to post while I was there to try and be prepared ahead of the game. Things normally go all pear-shaped anyway, but yeah, it was a good experience.
Some very nice shots.
Subsequent to that, I've done a slight reworking of the website, made it a little bit more commercial, bundesmedia.com. So anyone give me any feedback on that, I would love it. Even if it's bad, I would love it even more, to be honest. But yeah, done some updated some of my photos and some of the wording on there, which is good. I've also got my Oppo X9 Ultra back after breaking it. But bizarrely, I've had it back nearly a week now, and my SIM's not back in it. I think I may sell it, basically, because something's stopping me. I don't know, because I think it's so fragile, of swapping out of my Honor Magic 8 Pro, because it does. Again, it's probably back. It's a mobile phone. Is it going to be much better using the Oppo compared to the Honor? I'm not too sure, but maybe I'll put that up for sale and buy an iPhone or something. But and the last thing to mention was I was chatting to one of the female photographers, and she had one of the Fujifilm X-Half, and she was taking shots with that, and I saw some of the shots she took on it, and I know it was rated the worst camera of 2025, but I think it's about a quarter of the price now. And she just said, look, you take JPEGs, you got the film simulations, and you've got like 36 shots on it and stuff like that, and you use it like a film camera, and it's just like capturing moments. So I'm a little bit tempted to maybe buy one of those to have a play around at my next sort of race weekend. So
Where is it quarter price? I'm looking at it on Amazon and it's still 550 quid. I think it started at 699, didn't it? But certainly not quarter. Maybe a quarter off.
I
Sorry,
think it
which
was nearly
camera is this?
1,000, wasn't it, originally?
Oh, I thought it was 699.
Is this a Fujifilm X?
Yeah,
Yeah.
X half.
Oh yeah, I looked into that. Yeah.
I mean, there's a number on eBay for around 250, 300.
Oh,
I know
right.
it,
Okay.
yeah, and I wouldn't buy it new, but I was just thinking as something, as I tried a couple of times last year. I took an Instamatic camera with the getting the film out of it straight away, just take some sort of candid shots. And she was showing it to me. She took some pictures and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's kind of something fun to use, but you definitely wouldn't pay £600 for it. But
Was
if you
she
could
It
was
get
she
doesn't
was she
shoot raw,
was
does
she
it?
was she using it in portrait or in landscape? What was she doing with it?
portrait shots. So she was a photographer. She had all of the camera, but she had this with her as well to taking the sort of candid shots of. You get maybe the background shots of people in the crowd or photographers taking pictures and things like that. So those little things that you're not doing sort of commercial work for, the little bit of the behind the scenes stuff, and you've got that restriction of you've only got a certain amount of images within it because
But
it
was
sort
she
of gives.
but was she shooting it in upright,
Yeah,
portrait? She
yeah,
wasn't turning it around and making them landscape shots.
no, no.
No. Okay.
But yeah, from all the negativity I saw last year, I actually found someone using it, and I think she was considerably richer than I was because I said, oh, I had the X100. Oh yeah, I've got that as well. But this is fun. I don't edit it. It's purely just a JPEG. It's straight out of the camera. So it's a sort of an interesting thing maybe to have a play around with if I do decide to get rid of the stupidly expensive phone that I broke within a few days of having. So I may do that. So
Charlie was asking about RAW. It doesn't shoot RAW, he said.
no.
No.
It's there as I think it's there as a toy, but it's
Yeah.
something back in there putting restrictions in and making you think a little bit more creatively. That you're not going to rely on post-processing. It's going to be something that what you shoot is what you get, sort of thing. So could be interesting.
Very nice. Yeah, we have looked at it before, and it's just something interesting and different, I think. And most people would just
shoe, Ted.
Sorry,
It's got a fake hot shoe.
fake hot shoe.
A fake hot shoe. I kid you not. I'm looking at the website now. Yeah.
No.
Kid you
Is
not.
it? Is that essentially a cold shoe then?
Yes, yeah. It doesn't get warmly warm at all, does it?
Yeah.
You can't put anything into that hot shoe at all. Not even.
No, you can put like a thumb grip or anything in that doesn't need power.
Electrics. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it functionally it's dead. Yeah.
Right.
And it's got an LED flash as well, like a mobile phone.
You see, most people would just use a mobile phone, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
If that's what they're after, they just use their phone. So, which is why we questioned it on the show before. But yeah, anyway, I'm glad is the foot now out of a cast, or is it still troubling you?
No, it's still a bit painful. It's supposed to be 6 weeks now, and it's still painful. I'm trying to walk as much, doing 10,000 steps a day, trying to walk, but I can't walk barefoot. So it's going to take longer because I'm an old person to fix itself. So, but I'm not in pain, and
right.
I'm not crying in the evenings anymore. So that's good. So.
Poor soul. Okay, right. Charlie, tell us about what Chris has put into our album for us and what he's been saying.
Yes, so I'm Chris's elected avatar. So Chris, he says here that the time difference has precluded my participation this week. I'm coming up to 2 weeks of my stay in Thailand. I've covered over 1,000 miles so far. As mentioned last time, this isn't a dedicated photocentric trip. This is purely for us as a couple to escape the shithole England has become for a few weeks. While, of course, we do visit photogenic places with a non-photographer in tow, you basically get one shot at taking any photo. Usually I like to hang around, wait for good light and the right people, sometimes for literally an hour or more, as Charlie can attest to. But the workflow with the wife is like this. I turn up, she says, go on, go get your photo, don't worry about me, take your time. And so, like I said, I get one photo at a time. With that disclaimer out of the way, I have added to the group photos some pictures for you. Pick the bunch for me. The pick of the bunch for me is the mono image of the man in the window. I think he's referring to the black and white one with the scene of the temples in the background with the window cut out. That is exceptional photo. I think it's somewhere there in the album. Yes, I see that. That's a really good photo. He says here that he's been pushing the dynamic range of his Sony to the absolute limits. He says he got a reflection shot of a cityscape of Bangkok. Currently my desktop wallpaper, and accompanying that is a massive pano of the cityscape. He says he really likes that one, but he was unable to edit it properly because he tried to merge the images in Lightroom Classic on his MacBook, and I think he's got the MacBook Pro M1. So capable machine, but of course, if you're putting 61 megapixel images together, you're going to have trouble, and that's what he's been running into. It says here that he tried to stitch 9 or 10 individual shots together, taken handheld, and he was very surprised how they came out. But he wasn't able to do it properly on his laptop at the time. He then goes on to say that zooming in and out of the photo as he was taking it, the pano shots, there was like a 20-second lag with the beach ball of doom on his MacBook. So again, he had to resort to taking smaller pano shots, 3 shots at a time, and merging them together. Then he goes on to say that he edited one photo with trees in the foreground, black and white. He said that I said it was shit and then it needed to be in color. So then he threw a color profile on it. Oh, yes. So he did one of a skyliner. I didn't actually like it. I said it was shit. Yeah. But then he did it again in color and I said it was really good. And we can see that in the album as well.
Oh, yeah. With all the trees in the foreground.
With all the trees in the foreground. Yeah, I didn't like the black. I mean, I just thought it was, what's the point if it's in black and white? But the color one works really well. I really like that image. Then he said here that he did a hyper-real color grade on it. He likes it. Luckily, there was a pop-up mart shop near the location. I took these cityscapes, which kept my wife distracted. Okay, so that's the answer. When you're abroad with your partner, find some kind of distraction you can drop them off at, and then you can get your photos. He says that the biggest disappointment for him was the long exposure he took of the bridge over the River Kwai. He tried a 5-minute exposure, and cloud movement was a letdown and looked too messy. He couldn't really get a good image there. He felt like it was a missed opportunity. He also says that among the album, you'll see some shots of Chiang Mai morning market, 5 a.m. wake up and brush the cobwebs off the black mist filter, three Buddha boys and 2 old geezers at the table are my highlights. Lastly, he says that he got some pleasant images of a trip to the mountains at Doi Chang, which I believe is north of Chiang Mai on the border of Myanmar. He said he got his drone out for the first time, a couple of standard landscape shots, which are there in the album. Then he said, back on land, my 2 favorite shots are the mono abstract of the people and the 2 sheep with the tree in the middle. Yeah, that's a very good shot. And he also says he took a few images with scatterings of sheep feces adding to some foreground interest. Okay. As always, have a good show, he says. Yeah.
I think that some of those are really busy. Like the two guys, the old guys sat at the table. The background, I think, is just far too busy for me. And
I disagree. I disagree, Ted.
Okay.
I think that's a great photo because you've got the woman on the billboard in the background, and I don't know if it's chance or if he did it on purpose, but he's positioned himself so you've got that cable pole, that power line pole, just over her eye. It looks like something's coming out of her head. It looks
Okay.
quite good, and I like the color
Okay.
grade.
And there's
Teal
a
or not.
trip. There's a pylon growing out the back of the other bloke. Anyway, each to their own. I think the one with the sheep and the two sheep and the tree is fantastic. You're right. I really like that, and I think other people, when he's posted some of these photographs in the group, have said the same thing. Particularly the one about the black and white that we all said, no, it's better in colour, which you referenced just now. So
the sheep with the trees is really good because he's using juxtaposition there, you see, because the shape of the tree is the same as the sheep on the left, and it just works.
Yeah,
Works
absolutely.
pretty well.
I've got to do the pun that the foreground is shit.
Literally, yeah. I would have photoshopped the shit out personally.
I would have done that as well. I must confess.
Yeah.
It's
probably cheated. It's Nesquik cereal. He's just scattered it around because I know what he's like. He tries to get the perfect photo.
Okay, thanks a lot, Charlie. There's a couple in here from Chad Dixon, which we'd like to have a look at. So the first one is, and Chad unfortunately has not been able to, or has not remembered to put any notes in to the information field here. So we're approaching this a bit blind. I think he put it into the group, but I can't access that just now. So it's some sort of walk up a hill. Which is compositionally very interesting for sure, black and white, and some sort of castle at the top of the hill. Any thoughts on that, anyone?
What aspect ratio is that, Ted? It looks like it's 1 by 2 by 1, 1 by 2.
No, it looks like it's 21:9, doesn't it? But he's certainly cropped it because I don't think he'll get that out of the Samsung Galaxy S25 FE straight, as is.
No. It's a good photo.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, it's good. You've got like a leading line with the path and the people going on, and then your eyes drawn to the flagpole at the top or whatever it is. It's interesting.
And it looks almost great. It looks almost grainy, doesn't it? Which I really like.
I like that. Again, it's. I think it works in that format. Say in the black and white, as you say, the leading line and everything. It's interesting. Yeah, definitely.
His other photograph, I'm not so keen on, I have to say. Again, shot with the S25 FE, which is a kind of landscape of kind of wet marshlands, I suppose, a beach somewhere, I guess. And I'm not so keen on that. Does anyone see the good in that one?
It's not really for me. It's just, I mean, if you've never seen is it the sea or what? It's just like dry land.
I think it's a beach with the tide right out, isn't it?
Yeah, if you've never seen the sea before or something, then yeah, it's a great photo. But otherwise, I don't really think much of it.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things that it would be good to get the thinking behind shots. I think that a lot of when we take a shot, we've already seen that picture. We've seen what we wanted to take. Sometimes you need a little bit of guidance from the photographer of what the intention was.
Okay, yep, and we haven't got that, unfortunately. Joe, any thoughts on Chad's two pictures?
I mean, I don't hate it. It's I don't know if it's the poles in the line that took his interest or something. I'm not sure. I'd be interested to know if he's got any other shots of this scene.
Okay.
They might be more pleasing. I don't know.
What about the other one?
It.
Okay.
What the castle one? Yeah, I really like that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like you say, that the grain actually works on that one, which I'm sure is actually just what the phone's done because it's an FE, isn't it? I'd be interested to know if he's gone up that hill
Yeah.
I don't think I'm fit enough these days.
Oh, I think he is. He's all over the place. Chad is. He travels
Yeah.
all over the place. I think he's really fit. Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks, Chad. Anyway, for dropping those in the group. We'll have a look at that. Anything else anyone wants to talk about? I will just mention that the May 2026 photo of the month poll is still running in the MeWe group, so I'll put a link to the show notes in that one. But head across to PSC Photos, and the result will be out in a couple of days. So if you haven't voted yet, please do so. One bit of news is that from Ian, I think.
Yeah, I saw there was a lot of content around this. So Insta have brought out an Insta 360 Lunar Ultra, which is very much like the Osmo Pocket, but this time it's got two lenses and also a detachable screen which turns into a microphone, co-engineered with Leica. It's one of those things that, wow, that looks so cool. I don't need it, but I really like it. But I've got no use case because I'm not a creator. But it looks very, very cool.
Any content creator's dream, that is, I think.
Yeah.
It fixes a lot of issues that the DJI has. Yeah, I think it's hugely popular. I'm interested for sure.
It looks very impressive on paper. I mean, you get 14 stops of dynamic range, f1.8 aperture, and it's got a 1-inch 8K sensor. Right. So.
Right. Yeah. And it looks like it's 700 quid.
That's the stumbling block for me.
That's a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That one bit of news. There was something else, Charlie, that Chris was saying about MeWe colors and complaining about what MeWe does when stuff's put on there.
Yeah, he said, what the bloody hell is happening in MeWe doing to my colors in my photos that I post? I have added an image that I posted to MeWe to the shared album. It is the one that says MeWe comparison photo, and compare that to how it looks on MeWe. I have tried 3 different color spaces, sRGB, the standard for web, Adobe RGB, and even Rec 2020. All same result, washed out. Some photos seem okay, but others like this are a mess. I must confess, I've never heard of Rec 2020 as a color space. So
No.
He said he had color issues.
I think he was talking about that, the one with the elephant in the guy standing by the side of the elephant thingy.
Okay, I see it.
I think that's the one he's talking about.
And see how it compares.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that says MeWe comparison on it.
Where does it say? I can't see that. Where does it say
Top
MeWe
left
comparison?
of the image, it's got like a signpost showing you directions to all different places, and then there's buildings in the background.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
right. It's that one, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I missed that. You're quite right. Well spotted, Joe. Oh, right. So that, it's kind of washed out, really, isn't it? But go on, Charlie.
No, I was going to say, so that it's not meant to look like that. The picture he's shared with us he's saying the color space is incorrect, is he?
I think so, yeah, because it looks like
doesn't
it's
look
all
right. Colors look off.
No, yeah, they do. You're right.
Which is a shame because it's a good composition. It's a good photo.
While we're here, I just want to mention his photograph of the guy looking out of the train or whatever it is. Or is it a train? I think it's a train. The very last photo in the album. I think that's really good. I do like that.
It's eye contact.
Yeah. It's just full of interest. The frame is just really interesting, and I don't know what anyone else thinks of that.
That's great.
Yeah. It looks very nice. If it was me, I would have edited, and again, this is probably wrong, but I would have tried to bring out the shadows to make him a little bit lighter. But again, I think it's a lot more natural that way. I've got a way of trying to do things that may be slightly different. Maybe on that, I forgot to mention Ahmed Bibas gave some really good feedback on one of my photos around adjusting it and stuff. And I think one of the good things about the group is that you can get some feedback of how to adjust things that you may not be able to see and stuff. And just wanted to thank him for that. So,
We
Cool.
can't leave without talking about your egg, Ted. It looks
Yeah.
very nice.
Oh,
Very
my
yummy.
egg photo. That
Yeah.
was a photograph I took years ago. 2019, I took that with a Nokia 8 Sirocco. And I was going through a phase of liking the look of food photography, where colours were vibrant and very kind of Samsung-ish. And I just really liked that poached egg. I made this poached egg. And I thought, yeah, that looks just lovely. And I took the shot and I cropped in on it. And I thought, and with all that pepper all over it, it just appealed to me. I do quite like food photography, and that worked out quite well. So,
I like food and photography and food photography.
Yeah.
So yeah.
and the other one I took was the one at the snooker club. While we're there, and that again was taken years ago with a Razor phone. That was when the Razor phone first came out, believe it or not. And I can't remember when that was. It was certainly about the same kind of era. Oh, 2018, it looks like. And that was I was quite pleased with that because of the sharpness of the depth of field of the plane of focus where you go down through the you go down through the netting of that corner pocket on the snooker table, and also the circle, which is kind of rule of thirds-ish. I mean, I thought of Ian actually when I was thinking about this with that filter thing you have with the circle in the middle. What's that called?
The black hole filter. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like that. So it's really good. It's amazing that you got it off that depth of field on a phone as well. It's cool.
That's an old phone. Like, I've got it blown up on my laptop here, and it's really quite a clean image considering the how old that phone is. You can see some noise, but it's part of the blur anyway. So.
And the Razor was really didn't have a very good camera. It was alleged,
It's quite impressive, really. But goes to the point of just use whatever you've got. Just go out there and take photos.
Talking of food photography, and Ahmed, he's very keen on food photography as well.
Yeah.
I remember in the group he posted one of these sausages, and they looked absolutely lovely, and he just got it off to a fine art, I think, with this food stuff. So between
macro
us,
as a whole, actually, his macro stuff's great. Yeah,
absolutely. So we'll try and encourage him to put some more stuff in here as well. So, any other thoughts before we go? Anyone? And close things off. Anyone else?
Just a reminder that PSC pub meet is this Saturday. If anyone is interested. Yeah.
Can you remember the details?
Tomorrow.
Can you remember the details?
Yep. But I haven't got them to hand right now. Is it the Penderell pub?
Let me get
we'll mention
the
it again on
up.
PSC.
That'll be too late.
Let me look. I didn't organise it. I'm just turning up.
It's going to be organised by Jeremy Harpham, and it's going to be on Saturday the 20th of June, and it's at Penderell's Oak Wetherspoons pub, a short walk from Holborn Tube.
That's it. Holborn.
And I've got a feeling that he said 12 o'clock, and you were going at 2:30, weren't you?
Yeah, so I finish working and I'm in Luton at 1:45, so I'll head straight into London from Luton. It takes about 45 minutes or so, but then I've got to get down to Holborn. But yeah, I shouldn't be too much later after.
Cool. So at the last pub meet Jeremy took over the organisation of, they got about, I think, 5 people there, and I can't remember who they were now. Chad was there.
Charlie was one of them.
Oh yeah, Charlie was there, wasn't he? Charlie.
Yes, I was there. Yes.
So
I met Chad.
Yeah. Right. Okay. You've got.
I was the only guy there with one phone.
Oh right.
Everyone else had 2, 3, 4, 5 phones. I was the only one out.
I don't know. Just taking one phone to the pub, that's not good, is it?
Yeah.
So anyway, if anyone's kicking about London on Saturday, good shout indeed, Joe. Then head across there at the Penderell's Oak Wetherspoons pub near Holborn Tube. And yeah, in terms of PSC. We'll be back with our show on Monday, and so do check out that as well. And if we've got any, I'm in the wrong show notes now. I'm wondering where me stuff is, and it's gone. PhoneShowChat.uk is our website for all of these shows now, or most of them. And we'll put a link into the PSC Photography Shared album that we've been talking about, so you can reference stuff as we go along. If you get lost with any of this, head across to tedsalmon.com and you'll get straight back on track. And we wish you a very relaxing and enjoyable July, whatever you're doing. Most of the panel here seem to be going away to various places, so we hope you'll have a good time. And we'll come back in August, and we might have something to announce, or at least some testing that's been going on. And if Joe can rustle up his friend to put a show in July somewhere, then we'll make that a special, and we'll pounce on you with that one. So thanks very much, guys, for joining me. And we'll catch you again in August, everyone. Bye for now.